You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Bart.
Okay.
We're getting the YouTube.
In 1 mile, turn left onto Collin Lane West.
You can go ahead and mute your phone, Bart.
Okay.
You know, it dawned on me this afternoon. I forgot to send Hicks a link to this. Should we do that? I didn't do it intentional. We didn't have anything really on the agenda, you know, that was legal related as far as interpretation of contracts or such. So it just,
You're live, Pam. You can start the meeting whenever you're ready.
hi there, everybody. Welcome to the Economic Development Authority for the City of Wagner meeting. I would like for it to reflect in our minutes, Mackenzie, that our March meeting was postponed. We never reheld the regular meeting for March. This will fulfill any business that would have been on that agenda is now on this agenda.
Okay, and that was due to COVID-19, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, for the record, I'm in Arkansas, so if I lose you, I will dial back in.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you being here tonight for everybody. I'll call the meeting to order. My phone says 5:39. It just switched. We'll go right to item number 2, the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 24th, 2020.
I'll make a motion, we approve those minutes.
I'll second that motion.
Actually, I'm going to pause ourselves right here. I should have called roll, so forgive me for that. Chairman Pam Stevens Carnes present. Tony Lowe,
Present.
Tim Hoffman,
Present.
Mackenzie Half, Bart Bogle,
Present.
Mayor Jones,
Here.
Jim Igarda,
Present.
and Tom Gray with GRDA.
I'm here.
Thank you all. Okay, back to item number 2, the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting, February 24th, 2020. We have a first by Tony Lowe. We have it seconded by Bart Bogle. Voice vote. Tim Hoffman,
Yes.
Tony Lowe,
Yes.
Bart Bogle,
Yes.
myself, yes. Then Mackenzie Half.
Yes.
Motion carries. Approval of minutes for the special meeting of April 13th, 2020.
Those are easy enough.
Yeah.
Make a motion, we approve as written.
You have Tim Hoffman first,
I'll second it.
Tony Lowe second. Voice vote, Tim Hoffman,
Yes.
Tony Lowe,
Yes.
Bart Bogle,
Yes.
myself, yes. And Mackenzie Half.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. And then as noted also in the regular agenda meeting, the March meeting was not held due to the COVID-19. No business was conducted. Item number 3, approval of treasurer's report. Mr. Hoffman.
Our checking balance as of today, $94,342.18. The Treasury Fund, which is based on the last statement from April the 8th, which is prior to the close of the sale of the 59 acres, $92,379.12. And the building fund is $1,200.48. I did notice that the Wagner Public Works Authority didn't cash our last month's utility check for Cherokee property, which is odd, but it'll roll in, I'm sure. That's the only uncleared check.
Hey, Tim, will you give me that checking balance again one more time? Was it 94,342?
Yes, $94,342.18.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna try to do something here because I've lost audio for you guys. I'm gonna try to log in from my computer for the audio. So bear with me just a second.
Hey, Tim, while we're waiting, do you have the check number on that Cherokee property that hasn't cleared? I don't know that we need it, but I'll include it just in case.
Sure, you bet. Check number 2604, written on 2/13 for $87.59. It's strange.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's just strange that it's outstanding. Normally, we don't have any outstanding checks.
Okay, I think I'm back and can hear you all. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Sorry about that. Since I was out for a second, I didn't hear the treasury or the building amount. Do you mind repeating, please?
Treasury is $92,379.12. And the building fund is unchanged at $1,200.48.
Okay.
When will we see the funds from the 59 acres?
They've been wire transferred into the treasury account. Probably have a record of that. Well, we'll have a statement on it probably about the 8th of May, but I was planning on going downtown to the bank to put the information into the safety deposit box, and I thought I might just get a tally while I was there.
I was just curious.
It might be handy to check in and see if we can have a online account. I'm sure they have those. I'm sure they have that set up.
That would make things
Yeah,
more.
they do. I've got one set up for the Masonic Lodge. And for, yeah.
I'll make the motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
Guess I'll second it.
Okay, voice vote. Tim Hoffman,
Yes.
Tony Lowe,
Yes.
Bart Vogel,
Yes.
myself, yes, and Mackenzie Half.
Yes.
Motion carries. Your checks, Tim, we need a motion to approve check numbers 2605 through 2616.
Mm-hmm. And that brings us current. There are no other checks beyond 2616.
I'll make a motion to approve that. check number 2605 through 2616.
I'll second that motion. Voice vote, Tim Hoffman,
Yes.
Tony Lowe,
Yes.
Bart Vogel,
Yes.
myself, yes. Mackenzie Half,
Yes.
motion carries. Thank you. Chairman's report, just a quick briefing of what we've had some things occur this month. Of course, we've had the closing on the 59 acres. We have 2 active projects on the industrial side, one being Project Sleeper, which Jim will update us on in his industrial report. And then we have Project Eco. Tim Hoffman and I met with Project Eco along with the mayor last week. It was a very productive meeting. We've got a list of things that we'll need to be working on this week. So be looking forward to some emails and things of that nature that will be items that I suspect that we're going to have a special meeting on to address subject matters that have been requested from Project Eco. So it's all looking good. Within Project Eco, the COVID-19 crisis has highlighted that our country also needs to deal with the food chain supply, and this project will help deal with that within our local economy. So it was a very busy month, even though we weren't in person with each other, and I just want to thank all of the board members for their assistance meeting within the virtual realm, emails and so forth. The mayor has been very, very, very helpful in helping us with these meetings, and I appreciate that. Dwayne Elam has been very helpful also in getting information back to IGARDA and Tom Gray with all of his GRDA counterparts on Project Sleeper. So it's been a good month. I think 2020 is going to be a successful year for our community. And I think that with some of these projects, we'll be able to move forward with some of our planning that we've been putting off on the back burner for quite some time. That pretty much wraps up my chairman's report. I'll switch to the mayor. Mayor, do you have a report prepared for us?
Yes, well, the very exciting last couple of weeks that we've had on the economic development side of it is in the future, looking forward, like we're setting ourselves up for some great success and some other things that are going on. Just to let people know about our streetscape, we did meet with ODOT. We're talking about a September letting, which really, I know this kind of sounds strange, but they're probably, if it lets in September, there's a possibility that the contract would be awarded for construction in December. We all know that December construction doesn't work. They usually wait until after the holidays. The latest episode on this is the SHPO, which is the State Historic Preservation Office. So just to give you a little for the board that may or may not know this, and if Mr. Tannehill, if I say anything incorrect, please let me know. The State Historic Preservation, since the American Bank is on the National Historic registration, what we're trying to do is some traffic calming with some bump outs to calm traffic both on Main and Cherokee. And since the bump outs were not necessarily historic to that structure because they were dirt roads when it was built, the State Historic Preservation Office kind of put a no-go on that. The ODOT and the designer and engineer felt strongly enough about it that Oklahoma Department of Transportation neighborhood division went ahead and went to Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. overruled SHPO's account, so they pushed it back down. And as of our meeting last week, we are still awaiting SHPO's sign off, but they say that it's coming any day. We've been waiting for at least 60 days on that. So not sure if they're, if the COVID has slowed things down or if there's other reasons that may be slowed down, but they have been overruled by Washington at the federal level. That being said, that's kind of the excuse for another pushback, as we would say on our streetscape. They are going to supposedly open up the next phase of this funding as early as August, September this year. We are prepared and will be putting that in place again to submit for that. We do have discussions on where our phase 2 would go. It's not been finally determined, but originally our phase 2 was continuation from Casper Avenue intersection all the way to Story. There has been some talk and maybe some reconfigurations of including phase 2 to be South Main, just because of all of the new businesses that are along South Main all the way down to 3rd Street. As we get closer to that, we will be making a decision on that. But we are going to go ahead and budget at least the 80-20 match to start that, so we can get our consultant to go us through the process. And just as we learned 5 years ago, it may be another 5 years before phase 2 is completed, but at least that is going to be in the works. Also on the economic development side of it, our airport board, and Mr. Tannehill can convey this, we've been going forward with our airport board and recognizing the vehicle that we have out there as the airport as another economic driver. So we hope in our 5-year plan that we are able to share some of that stuff with the economic development board. I do know that our new airport board's been in place for 1 year now. We have successfully went through the first year of terms. At the meeting last week, 2 people are terming out, so we are going to be at the council meeting next week, reappointing or appointing 2 people to fill those terms. But that is going real good. We've come a long ways. Now we have a development plan, a 5-year plan, if you will, and the source funding on the FAA, and we're getting that all together. So we may be preparing to send some stuff to city council this coming Monday night with the due of the sublease agreement that we have with the airport hangar owners. Also, the next phase of the build grant. If you're not aware of the build grant, it used to be called the Tiger Grant, and then they have since changed it to the BUILD grant. That project started at Highway 69 and came all the way to our downtown streetscape. It got scaled back to the west side of the most western railroad track. We have submitted our 2nd year. Last year we came in as highly recommended. No one in Oklahoma was funded, not any projects. But we're in the process of submitting that in the month of May. They stepped up the timeline for this submittal. They want it to be done before the election cycle happens in November. So I believe that August, September, we should know the results of that. Once again, we first came in our 1st year to submit. It was for basically sidewalks, off-street trail, ADA ramps to get ODOT was going to partner with us on that for $1.5 million thereabouts. That would allow us to get our actual Cherokee Street from Highway 69 to the most western railroad track redone. More than just a general maintenance where they put cold patch on or hot patch, but they would actually go down and mill and fill, and it'd be a great roadway. So this is our 3rd year submittal on this. We'll be submitting in May, and I feel very strongly that we will get that grant. There are other partners involved with that, but ODOT is still partnering with us, and they have now since put that in their 8-year plan, so it's even became more official. The Cherokee is now in their official ODOT state 8-year plan. And once again, we had letters of commitment from them last year, and they were partnering with us. And this year, it's made it through their plan, so I'm excited to see that. Also, another thing I would like to add on the build grant is that when we went through the debriefing and we had some very, very encouraging words to say. Once again, I'm not saying that if there was any money that went to Oklahoma, we would have been the project that got funded, but I do know that there were a few highly recommended projects, and I feel like ours might have been the best project in Oklahoma, but once again, Oklahoma received no federal funding from that last year. So we're hoping to change that this year. We are meeting bi-weekly with INCOG, Indian Nation Council of Governments. They are the guys that are facilitating us through this program. And about the only thing that we are lacking is a few letters of support, which we are in charge of getting. And that is nothing that the Economic Development Board needs to be doing. And then also I want to share a little bit of, excuse me, COVID-19 information that I got over the weekend concerning Wagner County. And this is only Wagner County. Reached out to them because we're going to now allow restaurants and churches, as per Governor Stitt's hours plan, be back open. Reaching out to the health department, trying to get some guidance. They assured me that that early midweek, which I'm hoping is Tuesday or Wednesday, they will come out with guidance on how to go forward with this, how restaurants are going to be allowed to do things and other gatherings. We're still under the governor's safer at home, meaning that anyone in the vulnerable population of 65 or older or underlying health conditions should be not getting out except for as needed things. So we are still under that order, and we're still under the 10 people or more. There's a little bit of confusion on when that relaxes, if that's phase 2, but just looking at the numbers and the reassurance I got from the Wagner County Health Department officials this weekend was that in Wagner County, every case can be traced back to another known case. That being said, in Wagner County, they are seeing no communal spreading or no community spreading, however you're hearing that in the news. There is no communal spreading. What they're telling me is that that if someone were to sneeze in Walmart and someone walks through that cloud, that is not the types of things that they're seeing, because each patient that is tested positive in Wagner County has been able to be tied back to either someone that they worked long-term with, meaning more than an 8-hour shift, or long-term contact with a coworker or a spouse. And so not that that's totally good news, but it is good news that we're not having the communal spread in Wagner County. That's not to say that we won't in the future, but as of Saturday, that was what I was told. So each case in Wagner County, meaning we've had 4 deaths in the city of Wagner, and I believe 8 or 9 in Coweta at this time. And the Cowetas have pretty much been down to the senior care facility that is there. But once again, I was reassured that in Wagner County, they have no signs or cases of communal spreading. Other than that, Ms. Chair, if you have any questions specifically for me or the board, I'll gladly answer them.
I'm sure it's too soon for you to know any impact. I would be curious about what our utilities is doing regarding cutoffs and any kind of updates on sales tax.
At this time, I don't have any sales tax, but right now we're kind of gearing up for a 20% reduction. We are still uncertain of how we're going forward with swimming pool and other things, other quality of life issues in the city of Wagner. That being, from Summerfest all the way through the Bluegrass and Chili Festival. The utility cutoffs, as long as you call Rhonda at the Public Works office and you work out a payment agreement with them. I mean, there are some legitimate concerns that people have and things like that, but then we are also dealing with a group that are frequently late, and whether the COVID crisis is going on or whether or not. So those are taken on a case-by-case basis. And we have been really good with working with people, but on the other hand, there are some people that just may not be, excuse me, that are hearing from people that, hey, you don't have to pay your rent, you don't have to pay your utility bills and things like that. So it's just a little bit of misinformation out there. Any suggestion that I have to the public is that if you are experiencing any problems, all you need to do is contact Rhonda at the Public Works office, and each case will be dealt with a case by case.
So you think there'll be a 20% reduction in your overall budget for the municipality, or the municipality and Public Works because of?
I think right now we're kind of gearing that with both sides. Public Works, and it may be significantly higher than that on the city side, but that's the kind of numbers we're using right now. Don't have any evidential facts for that right now because the reports aren't in, but it's just from observation of utility payments and non-payments, and right now it's not cold, so heaters are not on, and it's not hot, so air conditioners are not on. So we're kind of in a flux area on that.
My full-time employer's experiencing the same thing. Air conditioners aren't running, so they're not broke. Heaters aren't running, so they're not broke either. So we're pretty slow at the moment as well. Okay. I don't have any other questions for the mayor. I would open it up to my board members to ask him any questions if they would like.
Don't have any questions, but I myself would just like to thank you, Mayor, for everything you did to help us get that 59-acre deal done. I think without you, we would still be jumping over the fence. So.
Well, I appreciate that, Tony, but you know, this was a team effort. So you guys need to pat yourselves on the back a lot more than you're patting me, because without you guys, this wouldn't even have been a realistic endeavor at all. So thank you, board and chair.
Yeah, it took all of us pulling together in the same direction, and I acknowledge the same thing Tony said.
Just fulfilling my obligations of my duty of my office.
If there isn't anything else for the mayor, I'll move on to the retail report for Ricky Hayes. Does anyone have any questions for the mayor? Okay, so
Thank you.
on Ricky Hayes's monthly report has been forwarded to the board members. I've encouraged the board members to reach out to him individually with questions regarding that. Like I said earlier, Ricky Hayes is moving his house, so he's downsizing his home, moving to a different location in the same general Owasso area. I don't have any new knowledge regarding the project with help me out, Mayor. The
Quick service restaurant.
Woodmont. That was what I was trying to think of. I don't have anything new on Woodmont.
That's the quick service restaurant, correct?
Correct.
Yes, I do not either. Other than I think they're still interested.
We finally got the abstract back from Quick Trip. It's been rebuilt, so now we have something we can take to, we've got somebody that we're going to have review the abstract and the details and fill us in on things we should know about that before we move any more forward. But those are things that we've talked to Ricky about as well.
Let me ask this question to probably Taylor. Taylor, isn't there some lot combinations that have to take place for that project to move forward? And if so, has there been any activity to get that done?
I apologize. I was on another Zoom call for a public hearing for CDBG grant. So are we referring to the Wagner Corner subdivision area?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yes. So on that, depending on what takes place, there will likely need to be some re-subdivision of that property. There's been nothing brought to my office regarding an application for that. However, most of the details that are being produced will be what is needed for that plat. So kind of the groundwork that you guys are laying right now is going to be beneficial for moving forward. So we're not behind the 8 ball on that by any means.
And Madam Chair, just so you know, I probably have more knowledge on that Wagner Corner subdivision than even Taylor.
Okay. The last time I talked with Mr. Hayes about that, he asked that question if anything was moving along in that realm of platting or lot combination. And if you have information on that, could you just update Mr. Hayes, please?
Absolutely, and it's gotten a little bit larger in the last month. So it's getting ready to come together, and it's publicly all I can say is it's going to be beautiful when it's done.
Of course it is, because that's how we roll. Okay, so we'll move on to the industrial report. Mr. Igarda, can you give us an update, please?
You spend a lot of time looking at yourself, which you normally don't do. Madam Chair and Board, quickly on the projects that are coming out of the state, Dale, Ocho, and Topaz, there's no new update on those at this point in time. They're still active, but there's just nothing flowing in terms of information. Going to Project Sleep, I do want to thank the mayor. You did a wonderful job hosting Arya and Mr. Tewatia with the company. I want to thank Dwayne, he did a wonderful job, and Scott at GRDA. The company was pretty impressed with Wagner. And I'm saying all these wonderful things because they would really like to locate in Wagner. However, the owner of the property and the company are not close when it comes to the price of that land, the price of that facility. The owner, I talked to Jim today, Mr. Kirsten, he indicated, Jim, all we need is 30,000 square foot of that building. And even if they cut out the acreage, the green acreage to the south, they still want $2 million. So they're not very close. They're probably a mile apart. But with that said, Jim was pretty impressed with the leadership that they met with in Wagner. And now they've turned to looking at sites, and they would build the building and probably build their rail spur there. So we are looking at 10 acres, 10 to 15 acres, parallel to the rail. Sam is recommended. We talked to you about the Cannon property up north, Whitehorn Cove Road. It's got rail on it. They're gonna, I think Craig Tubb will get us some information on what the price of the land would be, and we'll get that in front of the client. I also think maybe you can help me in terms of 10 to 15 acres. You know, I told them we had that in Industrial Park 1, but they need rail. And they'll need a rail spur. As you know, their primary client is the UP. Whatever comes out of the operation will be dedicated, all the sales, all the product will be going to UP at this point in time. So with that said, the question I have, I know the 59 acres that is in Industrial Park 2 is not available. Can someone tell me a little bit about the Bowman property south of the 59 acres? There's 10 there. I think there's enough acreage if the owner is willing to give 10, 15 acres that sits on, it would be on the west side of the UP line.
So I don't have my map in front of me, but that is a Bo Phillips property.
Correct. I said Bowman, but
Yeah, that's what I was
Bo
thinking.
Phillips
Bo
property.
Phillips, yeah.
Yes. I knew a guy named Bowman Phillips. So I'm sorry, it's Bo Phillips.
I don't have contact information for him. Does anyone in the board have any contact information with the Bo Phillips?
Well, Pam, I'll reach out to them because I know when I looked at that industrial site too, and I would needed 300 acres. I went south of the 59 and Bo Phillips had another, I want to say 200 and some acres. It's just agriculture.
Did the
But go ahead.
Did the sleeper project indicate that they would foot the bill for adding a rail spur, or is Union Pacific going to throw that in on their end of any orders that they may have that come from the project sleeper?
I don't know. Mr. Christine indicated they're willing just to buy acreage, build the building, and as long as they can get close to rail. And so I haven't talked any further discussion about them building a spur, but I imagine that would be between UP and the company on who would own it and how that would work. So
Okay.
we're going to pursue acreage to see if the company is willing to purchase that land. As he said, Jim, for the price they want to sell it, I could buy land and probably get the facility I want built on 10 to 15 acres versus buying the large facility.
So I'm looking at my map here. That is a 1/3 ownership situation. So you're going to have 3 different parties.
Okay.
For Phillips Property Limited Partnership. There's also a Deborah C. and a Earl Purvis Uri listed as secondary owners. And that is 210 acres in whole,
Okay.
so the work that the city did on that 280 road, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 property owners along 280. Am I saying that right, Mayor?
Yes, ma'am, but I know what you're talking about.
And just looking at the map that I've got, everything else within that section, other than Heather and Calvin Smith's wedding venue, is all owned by this 1/3 party ownership of Bo Phillips. That's a whole lot of land. Something that we might consider as an alternate, and I do think we need to give them as many sites as they want to look at and let them make the decisions. The land up north that we talked about that Craig Tubb has listed, he will be talking with that landowner tonight. Maybe it's something that our board needs to talk about for also Project Echo as an option. Just other pieces of property. I know that the mayor did a site tour when Project Echo was in town, showed them some things that were in the inventory as well. But off of that 690 road, you've got a whole stretch of land, that extends from Highway 69 back to the railroad.
Right.
And I think it's about 110 acres.
Yeah, and I know the rail's there, we know the electricity's there. The question would be for the mayor and Dwayne, what the city water and sewer infrastructure is. I know we're out there, but you might have to extend it towards that property.
Jim, if that was a question for me, you kind of garbled up there. Could you re-ask it?
I was wondering about the infrastructure on the Cannon property in terms of water and sewer. We know electricity is in close proximity. The water and sewer is probably going to require a bill to them.
If we're talking our very northeasterly city limits, is that correct? Is that what we're talking about, Pam?
Yeah.
I'm not aware of what property.
Okay, so it would be the southwest intersection of Highway 69 and Whitehorn Cove Road.
Yes, okay, so when that was annexed into the city years ago, it was because they were going to do a ethanol plant there, and it was definitely before my time, but my understanding is that it was going to be a private sewer system or a sewage lagoon or something to that effect of a private industrial sewer. Our sewer plant is south and west of town. That is 3-4 miles north of town. There is no main trunk line that goes up there. Jim, if that answers your question.
Where-
Yes, it does.
Where's the main trunk line from the water plant? Where does that cut south to come into the city?
We're talking sewer. Are you talking water? Or are you talking sewer?
You answered the sewer question.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
talking water.
The water comes down the old Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma Railroad right away.
Which is the old railroad right of way on the east side of 69, correct?
Yes, ma'am, 100% correct. You're correct.
Okay,
If you're aware of where Battle Creek is, the bridge, it's that dike situation that you can see from the highway.
yes, sir.
That's the mains coming into town.
Okay. Does that help you out, Jim?
Yeah, as soon as I hear from Craig and get some more specifics on it, I can always pick the land, but I want to make sure Dwayne knows if they go in, what kind of needs they may have on the infrastructure when it comes to water and sewer. DRDA has transmission in that area. They could probably drop down to a substation, which we would have probably had to do at some point in time for this particular project.
I just don't know if that property can be easily sewered.
Yeah, it's further away from the water than what I thought as well. So that's certainly a consideration. And I think whenever the landowner decides what they want to do, they're going to have to understand that that impacts it, that there's not a sewer trunk line or a main line of water that feeds it.
Right, and just east of 69 at that intersection, where the depot currently sits, not far east, we do have a water line extended up that direction pretty close. There is about 5 taps out there that are on city water, and it's not the main, but it does come off the main. There is water up there.
Okay.
All we can do is fix what we have, and then we'll deal with whatever issues arise or concerns the company has at that point.
Well, if any board members know of 20 acres or less that adjoins a railroad easement, let Jim know, please.
Other than that, Chairwoman, that's the industrial report.
We'll probably be following up with you, Jim, and getting some updated training on how the Oklahoma Finance Authority works in conjunction with local banks. So
Yeah, I did talk to Mike Davis today. They're a very willing partner, is provided that the local bank is the primary finance authority. They would come in and support the project.
and in general, the way that works is if you have a project that signs a memorandum of understanding or a letter of intent, a local bank takes front seat on the financing and the Oklahoma Finance Authority comes behind that and guarantees the loan. Is that right?
Yes, it's, they have what they call the term buy-in participation is the term they use. So it takes, the local bank is at less risk because the OIFA is coming in. And by the way, going back to Project Sleeper, Mike Davis has actually talked. He's the OIFA director for Oklahoma. He actually had a discussion with Jim Kirsten about the project. And the difficulty with OIFA financing, the company, they're not, as he put it, they're not domiciled in the USA.
Okay.
Will probably not enter into an agreement with a company that doesn't have a US based operation.
This would be the first US based operation.
Yes,
Correct.
for the company.
Okay.
What,
However, OIFA would work with the authority and the local bank.
has a dollar amount been established, Jim, with the company as to what they think they might need
Or what?
for the project?
Well, they can't go as far, well, no. The original investment was $6 million.
Okay.
The
Another
capital
thought I,
investment that they outlined.
well, a possible another source might be the B&I loan lending program out of the USDA. And I don't know if they'd have an issue with where the company's domiciled or not.
I don't know, we can check on it.
I know the guy that heads that program up. He's been with it for years out of Stillwater. I'll call him and ask him a generality about it.
That would be fine, Tom.
Okay.
But let me once again emphasize, the company really likes the area.
Well, that's all good news. And I think it is a testament of the partnerships that we can establish when we get to be face to face with people and we can establish our relationships with them. They understand that we're a community that wants to grow, wants to work with them to provide them a place of doing business with as much cooperation as we can feasibly manage by pulling together partners. So again, I appreciate everybody jumping in on that, and we'll keep working through the hurdles and seeing what we can come up with for this particular project.
Madam Chair, may I ask Jim a question? I just wanted to get one thing straight if I could.
Go ahead.
Okay. Jim, my understanding is that they're far apart on the sites, but they really like the city of Wagner. Is that what I heard you say? Or
That's correct. They would like for us to find a 10 to 15 acre adjacent to the rail. They're willing to buy the land and build a new building, which is different than the timeline they established the first time with it. That makes it extend it a little bit longer.
have I'm trying to be careful when I ask my questions. Have they did all the site visits? Are you aware of yet, or?
The only other site that came close was the Tennessee site. Jim Kirstein's words were simply this: we have been really good about providing the information they need for them to make a decision. So they're really positive on his part, and I think they'd really like to be in the area because it fits very much with the partnership with UP. It puts them in the middle of the country where they can get product anywhere to UP in the US.
So just to reiterate, I wrote down 10 to 15 acres a while ago. Now are you saying 20 acres? Is that what they're needing?
No, 10 to 15 is what he asked. 20 would be, I guess, awesome, but all he needs is 10 to 15 to build the largest facility that they can get to, which would be six lines, 3 times what they proposed, and originally 2 lines going to 6.
Okay, just wanted to verify that. I didn't know if they needed expansion. I really thought we would get shortlisted just from that meeting, but I didn't know we would get selected on no site. So that's really encouraging news. So we're looking for 20 acres, right?
No more than 20, 15 would probably be 10 to 15 is ideal. Just has to be adjacent to the rail so they can get a spur in there.
Yes, sir. Totally understand. Thank you. I just want clarification.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, guys. I have some sites that I've thought of while we were sitting here talking. I'll get with you, Jim, later, and the mayor, and we can discuss them.
If you would, I told Mr. Curtis, would I get back with him another day or two, the potential sites that we might propose for?
Okay. All right, we'll move on to item number 8, discussion and possible action to proceed or to postpone the virtual building estimate for VJ Vivic. This was to try to help market what is remaining of our 10 acres, which is the south side of 11th Street in Park 1. Give or take, we've got probably 8 acres, then less easements to deal with. I just think we need to put that whole project on hold till we get some clarification from some of these active projects. I know that Mr. Vivek is very interested in completing the work, and I appreciate his eagerness. I just don't want to waste our board's time, effort, or money to have him develop a virtual building when we may have a project sitting on our desk that wants that property.
I agree.
Makes sense.
I believe that, and help me remember this from our previous meeting, that was a discussion only, wasn't it, Jim, that we were getting an estimation of cost from VJ Vivic to create one? We never did do an approval, did we?
No, we didn't, and we never made a commitment to him that we were gonna go that far on the virtual building. We just gave him information for him to work with in terms of what we expected in a building.
I just would like to officially, I mean, so we never had an approval to deal with. I think this item needs tabled. I'm sorry, it needs to be a no action taken item. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so item number 8, no action taken. I will make a note to email Mr. Vivek tomorrow to let him know the why, so he's not in limbo.
Thanks, Pam.
Item number 9, discussion and possible action. The Clothier and Company Certified Public Accountant audit finalization. This is something that we've all been working on for several months. Tim, do you have any updates for us, or are there any lingering items that Keith needs?
At this point, I think Keith has everything he needs, and he thought he would have something for us by this meeting time, but I don't think that's the case. But he should have everything he needs.
Whenever you hear back from him, if we need to review and accept that audit at our next meeting, just help make sure that gets on the agenda, please.
Will do.
So item number 9 is no action taken. Item number 10, discussion and possible action to accept bids for mowing or trimming ditches and property inside Park 1, including the cell phone tower lot, the south side of 11th Street, and what we call the Scroggins property, which is on the north side of 11th Street along Madison Avenue. We just need to get 3 bids from local mowing operations that have insurance and can provide us those estimates. There have been a couple of locals that are interested in bidding that project. This is not a competitive bid process. We don't have to do bid packets because of the small dollar amount that it is. So that is direct from legal for last year. So we'll follow the same protocol. There's even less property that has to be mowed or trimmed. We had in the 2019, 2020, 2018, 2019 fiscal year. So that being the case, let's have those bids presented to our board in the next few weeks, and then we can act on those bids at our next monthly meeting, or if we have a special meeting prior to the May regular meeting, we can put it on that agenda.
I just paid an invoice to Easy Lawn Service for mowing on April 2nd.
Yes, because they're still under the same contract. We've not opened up new bidding.
Okay.
And I've told him that, that we would be rebidding it for this growing season. And he would have the opportunity to provide that pricing to us. Brett Brummett has also inquired about bidding on that. And if there's any others out there, like, locals, I'd be happy to receive those bids as well.
Madam Chairman, did you say they had to have insurance?
We need to have at least the general liability insurance.
Okay.
And for the record, it's spelled out in the agenda item, but it really only includes the cell phone tower lot, the Scroggins property, which is that corner lot of 11th and Madison, and then what is left of the 9 acres on the south side, including the easement and ditches. Are there any questions regarding that? That's just a discussion item. We have no action to take until we actually have bids, but that will allow us to do that. I'm questioning myself. Forgive me just a second. Do we need to have the motion to receive pricing for, let's say, the June through June mowing season? Or the fiscal year mowing season? I don't want to do that because our fiscal year doesn't start till July 1st.
When is Easy Lawn Care up? Next month? June?
I would have to double check the minutes, Tim, but I think that we started that in May or June.
I think it was May.
Can we just let him roll, or can we just continue to pay him for an incremental 1 month if his contract is up at the end of May? And then we can still take bids for July to June.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, that would make our accounting easier, that the mowing bids reflect the same as our fiscal budget.
And then if we do that, we can go ahead and make a motion this evening to accept bids over the next 4 to 6 weeks.
I think that's reasonable.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept bids for that property for mowing and lawn care.
And the term of that would be coinciding with the fiscal year of July 1 through June 30th, 2021.
Yes.
I'll second.
A motion by Mackenzie Haff, a second by Tim Hoffman. Second voice vote, Tim,
Yes.
Tony Lowe,
Yes,
Bart Vogel.
we lost Bart. Remember he said he's on the road and he's gonna hit a low spot and drop out.
Yep. He has not tried to log back in yet, so he's gone.
Okay. Vogel. Myself, yes. Mackenzie Haff,
Yes.
the motion carries.
And as part of that, Pam, I didn't mention that either, but that we would allow It's Easy Lawn Care, right, to continue maintaining that property through the month of June.
Right.
Yes.
Easy, 2 letters.
Is that Norman?
Yes.
Okay.
Item number 11. This is a discussion and possible action. I just felt like it was appropriate for us to let the public know that due to Part 2 being sold in its entirety, that there would be no hay bale bidding that will take place on it or on the small lot of Park 1. I would make the motion just as a matter of principle that that is the case. So I have the board's approval on that.
Yes.
Yes.
So I've got a motion that there would be no hay bale bidding. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Okay, I've got Tim Hoffman as the second. I'll do a voice vote of Tim Hoffman,
Yes.
Tony Lowe,
Yes.
Bart's absent, myself, yes. And Mackenzie Half.
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you, board. Item number 12, discussion and possible action, the assignment of projects to individual board members for continuity and organization. Was that a Tony item?
Yeah, that's probably yeah, Tim and I were talking about that. And rather than have, 3 or 4 people chasing the same project, it might be easy to just assign the project to an individual and have them oversee it, and then report back to you and the rest of the board members as things progress. Like I say, try to, just for continuity purposes and for ease of communication. But that's something Tim and I were talking about, and we thought we'd bring it up to the board and see what everybody thought.
I'm all for it. Does everybody want everything I do? I'll be happy to give that up.
Nope,
What?
can't hear you.
That being the case, the 2 projects, we've got Project Sleeper. Jim has taken the point lead on that. And I think that has worked well. Who wants to volunteer for Project Echo?
On the days that I don't have dialysis, that's my only drawback, is the days that I have dialysis. Other than that, I'm willing to do about whatever we need to do to try to make that thing happen.
I was just about to volunteer for that as well, Pam. I can get up to speed from you, but you can fill me in on where we're at and what I need to do going forward.
Something that I would like to throw out there, we're in this budget process. I'd like for Tony to take over the lead on budgets, budget requests, and supplying the municipality and public works with our needs so they can have that information sooner rather than later, because all of these projects require teamwork. Because everything needs electricity and utilities. So Tony, would you kind of be our point person on budget requests within the municipalities?
Sure, I'll work with the mayor on that, he and Mr. Elam. 'Cause,
Awesome.
Go ahead. That'll be fine. We can get some historical data. Now, we know we've got these projects that are coming up. Are we wanting to, we know they're right around the corner, or at least make an inquiry if there's any money out there? Or are we going to go with the standard budget line item that we do every year?
I think all of that would be dealt with better on an individual basis with the department heads.
Okay. right?
We'll need to know when we can, when it's appropriate for us to be involved in the budget discussions for what the economic board is going to request or possibly receive for the next budget cycle. And in addition to our next item coming up, we probably need to have a planning meeting that includes not only discussion about the Harris building, but also next year's finances. Tony's going to need to know what we have to work with for utilities.
That's right. Yeah, there's a lot of information that'll have to be pulled together pretty quick to be able to make those requests. So we do need to have some kind of a budget meeting to kind of squeeze those numbers.
Is that another special meeting?
Suggestions.
Well, I think if we, tell me your all's thoughts on.
Maybe Tim, maybe. Well, Tim's our money guy. Maybe he and I could sit down and have just kind of a preliminary meeting, the two of us. That way we're not violating any of the Oklahoma Meeting Act or anything, and just put a few numbers together and a few ideas together. And then at that point, once we get an idea of what we're looking at, then we can share that with you, Madam Chairman, and get an idea of how you'd like us to proceed from there.
I like it.
When are those talks open, Mr. Mayor?
As soon as this meeting right here is over, if it's over with by 7, we can talk at 7:01.
That sounds good to me. We're already here.
Hoffman, I'm going to put you on the Harris building.
Okay.
That would be dealing with the roof and with Armco. Of course, I'm going to help with that because I've kind of been the point of contact with Armco Engineering. I've not talked to them at all. It's been several months.
Okay.
There's not really anything to vote on as far as item number 12. Is there no actionables votes? Am I right on that?
Just, Madam Chair, I have a question. So who is the contact on the sleeper project then?
Jim, I heard him.
And then who is the echo?
Mackenzie.
And myself. I'll get her brought up to speed this week on that.
Okay. So Jim is the only one that's in charge of the sleeper? No other board members?
I can always be copied on it, but he has taken the bull by the horns with that one.
Okay. Are there any? I just have 3 projects down. I just want to make sure those are the main 3 we have. Harris, sleeper, and eco.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along to item number 13. This is a discussion only item. Strategic planning for the Harris building roof financing. I would like for us to pick a date that could be a few hours long where all of the board members could be present. And I would like for it to be in person.
Me too.
So, we'll need to just open to the public. I'll follow up with Mr. Hicks. I've talked with the mayor about this before, and the mayor's initial response was it would just be like any other meeting, even if you had it on a weekend. Over the course of several hours, I think that's okay. We have to have strategic planning. I think that we're at a point now where If we don't have it, we're gonna be unorganized, and none of us want that. We have several new board members, and I think a strategic planning session in regards to how we proceed in phases with the Harris Building is important, as well as our 2020, 2021 budget. We've really got to develop a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan and stick to that. And just like Sherry Gray pointed out, we've got to have a point guard on all of these matters. And we've got to develop that point guard information flow. So I'm open to anything. Whenever we met with Project Eco last week, there was about 5 of us there, and there's plenty of room in that facility that Mr. Parrish shares with us. He's been very cordial, and I would like for the mayor to let him know how much we appreciate that so very, very much. It's a great.
Will do.
But I'm open to just about anything. Turkey season closes May 7th, so I've got one more tack to fill. So anytime after May 7th, I'm free. Let's table this item. Well, not table, I'm sorry. Let's take no action. Everybody look at their calendars. Let's come up with the date before our next May meeting so we can have some strategic planning. That way we can have answers at our next meeting on some of these no action taken items. How does that sound? That gives us 30 days to also see how the COVID-19 crisis unfolds, and we can adjust it as needed. Does that seem reasonable?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We might think about May 11th. May 11th, just as a tentative date. That puts us about halfway in between.
Say that date one more time, Tim.
May 11th?
May. That's a Monday.
Yes, it is.
We're gonna do that as a late night session.
I like it. I like weeknights better than weekends,
Okay.
personally.
I think
It
that
works for me. If we're, I don't know that we're already, if we're setting a date, I can do May 11th.
I can do May 11th.
What time?
I don't know. Let's get a good dinner in. Maybe make it 6 o'clock. Shoot, maybe we have dinner.
At a restaurant with each other.
Mhm.
We could certainly have a dinner provided for us. That's not uncommon for long-term budget session meetings, which I think is really what this boils down to.
Okay, and I missed it. Did we say 5:30 or 6?
I say 5:30.
Okay, 5:30.
What do you think, Tony Lowe?
Okay for me.
Okay, let's shoot for that. So we've got a date set on item number 13. Nobody reached out to me by email for guest speaker acknowledgement. So I'm going to move that we adjourn this meeting at 6:51 p.m.
I'll second.
Voice vote, Tony Lowe,
Yes.
Tim Hoffman,
Yes.
Bart Vogel. Is he back or gone still?
He's actually, I'm admitting him right now. He just tried to log back in, so. Mr. Bogle, we are on the last agenda item. I'm not sure if you can hear. We have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting.
He's muted.
He's unmuted now. Mr. Bogle, did you hear me?
No. What did it say? What? Hello?
Yeah, Bart, just to let you know, we have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting.
Oh, okay.
It's your vote.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Nice timing.
Myself, a yes.
I've been trying to get in for 30 minutes.
And Mackenzie Half,
Yes.
good deal. All right.